and I get a call from Jana, and she said, "Hey, we just got a call from our attorneys. There's a baby being born right now. We gotta go." I said, "What?"
What's up, guys? Welcome to the beginning of a new chapter, and that is called Proud Papi Podcast. My name is Benny. Thank you guys so much for joining me. On today's episode, I got my brother Eli joining me, and we're sharing our first few moments of being a dad, what it was like becoming a dad. And you're going to want to watch this because Eli's story is actually pretty crazy, so check it out. All right, we're back. First episode or beginning. I don't want to say first episode. I've been doing episodes for a while. But it's the first episode.
It's the first episode.
Yeah, of the Proud Papi Podcast. Man, I'm excited. Been doing this for like almost a year now. The end of January is when I started 2023.
I know. I'm proud of you, dude.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
That means a lot.
Yeah. The consistency. That's what I'm really proud of.
You know, I feel like consistency. Yeah. This is, I think, definitely the longest I've done anything like this.
Yeah.
But I feel like I could be better. So, and that's why we're doing this.
Hey, dude, you got to get your reps in.
Yeah, so that's why we're doing this. We want to be better, more consistent, put more stuff out there. And then the other thing is like, I want to talk about fatherhood because like that's where I'm at in my life, you know, leadership or Bible teaching, like all that stuff is there. Like I can do that. But I really want to talk about fatherhood because I feel like fatherhood is something that, I don't know. I just feel like this is a time where I feel like dads are really starting to take more responsibility of their role.
Yeah, more initiative.
And it's funny because if you watch the news, it would tell you the opposite. And in a way, I mean, that's the case. But I really feel like dads are starting to take their role seriously.
Yeah.
Which is really exciting. I know in my circles, I see it, and so, and I like to believe that it's that way across the board.
Right.
So. I'm stoked about this. I think this is going to be good. Building a community for fathers, for papis. I think it's going to be really good. So, and speaking about that, I mean, one of the things that I love about being a dad is that our kids have the ability to push us either way, right? Like our kid has the ability of making our day miserable, or they have the ability to make us feel like on top of the world.
Yeah.
Like the greatest men that ever lived, right? And it could be the same kid that makes you feel either way. So, Mateo, who I love, is really pushes my buttons, challenges me because he's the one that will talk back.
Yeah.
We'll tell him something, he'll say no. And he knows how to get me upset.
He's like almost 7, right?
Yeah. He's going to be 7 in April, so so he's getting there. But the other day, this is one of the days where I felt happy and great. I was making breakfast, and this was before school, so the rush are trying to get him ready. We didn't have pancake mix, but I did have protein powder. Pancake mix, protein pancakes. It's protein powder, but you could use it as pancake mix.
A pancake it's doing a lot of heavy lifting there. I've had those protein cakes since.
I know.
Cake is a strong word.
Yeah. So I had to explain to him like, hey, these are going to taste a little different because he's very picky.
Yeah.
So if something doesn't taste right, he's like, nah, I don't want it. Right. So I had to. So in my mind, I'm like, I got to sell this thing to him because I want him to eat it.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, hey man, like, this is called a protein pancake. This will help build your muscles, right?
Classic.
Yeah, and because he loves wrestling, he loves wrestling me, and he's more like he likes to show his muscles off. So I sold him on it. He's like, okay, all right. So he's digging in. I cut it up for him, and he starts eating. And bro, no joke. Like after every bite, he's checking his muscles. After every bite, he's checking his muscles. And then, and it's so funny because like those couple times I caught him and he'd eat it like this. He's like, yeah, like he could almost
loading
see.
Up, dude.
Yeah, dude, he could see the.
He's gonna be a gym rat. I feel it already.
But it's like he was like seeing how swole he was getting at real time or something, and I just thought it was funny because after he was done, he was like, hey, Dad, so like, am I gonna need to that means I'm good forever, right? I don't never have to have protein again. I'm like, no, dude.
If it only was that easy, man.
I'm like, no, man, you got to keep eating it because your body will go through it.
Yeah.
And so he's like, oh, okay. So now he's like, I'll have protein shakes. I'm drinking protein shake and come up, be like, dude, can I have some of that? I'm like, no, dude, I'm not.
You don't need to get any more swole.
Yeah,
you're the one that's punching me. I don't need you any stronger.
Fine. You don't need to. I'm like, no, it's okay. But I just thought it was super funny because, again, usually before school, honestly, a lot of days, actually this year was a lot better, but the year before was a pain, man. Like I dreaded it because he would fight me on what to eat, on getting dressed for school, on getting ready on time. And because it's the morning and I'm getting ready, it's like, okay, come on, dude, we got it, and he hates that. He hates being rushed. He hates being, pushed out of his comfort zone and being told what to do. Like, he doesn't like that.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, oh man, all I got is like protein pancakes. Like this is gonna be one of those mornings. But it was like the complete opposite. It was great. He enjoyed it. He had a smile on his face. He's out the door. And again, I'm like, all right, like ain't I the greatest dad ever, right? So, but yeah, I just think it's so funny, like seeing them kind of discover things for the first time.
Yeah.
But like enjoy it at the same time too. What about with James? Do you have like any stories of like him just like discovering something or?
Well, I mean, he's 4.5. Everything is a discovery.
That's true.
Everything is a discovery. I mean, the one that comes, I think, like most vividly was teaching him to ride a bike.
Yeah.
He had been doing his balance bike, which I don't know if you've seen those. Basically, a bike with no pedals.
Dahlia just got one.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he had been doing that for a while and was like pretty good at balancing. And I was like, I think but he'd only ridden treks with pedals, so I was like, the pedals was gonna get him. And so I was like, you know what, Janet, today's the day. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, today's the day. So I went, grabbed the wrench, took the training wheels off. And the first couple ones, dude, like he doesn't quite understanding.
Yeah.
But dude, like it must have been like maybe 20 minutes, and then he got it. Yeah. He started being able to pedal and stuff, and then just to see like the joy in his eyes and his face, and not only that, like he's riding a bike, but like Dad taught him, he's watching me, and that kind of thing. And then of course it has this little bell, so now every time he sees anybody, it could be across the street. Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. And he like stops. Ding, 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 ding. Until they look at him. And then he goes, hey. I'm just like, all right. Okay, let's keep going. Going. Okay, ding, 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 ding. I'm like, all right, that's it. So, but that's the one that comes to mind for sure.
Yeah, I think learning to ride your bike is like a big deal. I'm trying to remember. Well, it's funny because like Abel and Mateo, they've ridden scooters. Abel has a bike, but he hasn't gotten on the bike too much. They're more like scooter.
See, James can't ride a scooter. Like
interesting.
He can't. But he's a killer on a bike, dude. Yeah. He's almost too fast on a bike. Yeah. We have to tell him red light, and of course when he realized that he can leave a burnout, then it's like pedal.
Oh my!
And they're looking like, oh yeah. I'm like, no, dude. Here I am with my shoes, just like having to kick it out, and I was like, that's your tire, right?
Yeah,
it's all right.
Yeah.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that again, like kids, they could push you either way. Yeah. Easily, make you feel again like crap, make you feel like really like again top of the world.
Yeah.
And I feel like us as dads, if we just would learn, if we know that, like expect that.
Yeah.
Like there are gonna be days that you feel like you're not a great dad. You're failing miserably, or you're not where you should be. You're not meeting that standard or whatever. If we expect that, then maybe because I know for me, like when I feel like that, dude, my emotions are just up and down with it. I mean, but I think if we expect it, then it's a little bit easier to cope with the days when it's hard. And that's like a dad tip. And speaking about dad tips, I have one that I saw this on an account I saw. They're on Twitter or X and Instagram as well.
X.
And the account is Save Your Sons. Mm-hmm. And I love their account because they share, tips about marriage, about fatherhood, just a lot of really good stuff. And so this is the dad tip that they share. It's stop rushing around so much. And they say, he says, I noticed a bad habit creeping in a few months ago. At bedtime with our oldest, we read 2 stories every night, then we listen to an audio story. props to him, dude. I don't even do that much reading. That's probably not great, but gradually I found myself rushing through the process, getting frustrated with how long it would take to pick out a book, talk about the pictures, etc., etc. And inevitably, the book or audio stories would raise questions that my toddler wanted to talk through. And in my brain, all of this took too long. We aren't being efficient, we're wasting time, etc., is what I thought. But then one day it struck me. What am I rushing around for? Why am I wishing away this precious time with my son? What would I do instead of hang out with him at bedtime? Go downstairs and do nothing? What a joke. My humble advice to dads reading this is to stop rushing things that don't actually need rushing. Do an extra story, have that random conversation, let them talk, and let the minutes pass by together. Because the good old days are happening right now, and it's a shame to wish them away.
It's pretty good.
It makes me want to stop this and go back home and read stories to my kids.
I mean, I'm very fortunate. My son loves reading, and I'm not a reader at all.
Oh, agreed. Dude, the boys love reading. My kids love reading too, and I'm not a big... I've gotten better.
Yeah.
I think the last 2 or 3 years I've become more like I want to read and I do read, but
no, dude. When I graduated high school, I had read 5 books, and one of them was the Bible. So like, you know,
like, and even then,
I was to be fair, was I reading intently through numbers? Probably not, but he loves reading, and so we would go to the library, grab 14, 15 books.
Yeah. And
that time in the morning, that's where it was for a long time. Now there's more trains and more games and stuff.
Right.
But back then it was like, okay, next book. And for me, I was like, sweet, I'm like killing time here, you know, in the morning. Because at the time he was getting up at 6, 6:30, and mom didn't come out till a little bit later, so let her sleep in a little bit, and so it was a lot of reading. But then I just kind of realized, I was like, actually, you know what, this isn't going to be around forever, and I'm trying to take in those moments. He's been having nightmares, and he's been coming into our bed, and even though it screws up my back because I'm like sleeping on my side and my back when he's there, I realized like he's not going to want to do this forever. Yeah. Like I can complain about it and try and keep him stay in his bed, or, I'll just stay here until he grows out of it and just enjoy every moment I can. So
I think that's such good advice, though, not to rush. I think one of the things that I do tend to, one of the things that I actually like kind of caught myself doing was with Abel, our oldest, who's 9, is I think there are times that I put like almost too much responsibility or too much expectation, like he's grown up already, like he's a teenager, right? And I have to understand, like, no, he's only 9. He's a child. Like he's still, he's not a teenager. There's still things that he's learning. And so, and I feel like sometimes I put things on him, like I'm rushing him through, and he's now becoming into his preteens, right? So like, I think the advice of like not rushing through things and taking your time and then enjoying them, I think that's solid advice. It's a solid like tip, like to know to take our time through things, regardless of what season you're in with your child. Like it's good to kind of take our time, enjoy the process, learn as they learn. Especially like if you have one kid and you plan on having more, like you're going to see it again, and so it's going to look a little different, but you'll see it again. So, I think it's always good to like kind of slow things down. And
you don't have to take long, but I wonder, because you have multiple kids. Yeah. Are you like now treasuring like those younger ages now that you're seeing them for a second, third time?
Yeah.
Kind of thing?
Yeah. Like with Dahlia, well, it's a girl, right? So she's different. But there are some things in my relationship with her that I'm like, man, if I just had a little bit more patience with Abel, I would have been able to enjoy these moments a little bit better.
Interesting. Cool.
So,
thank you.
Yeah. Speaking about, having kids and experiencing those things, one of the things I want to talk about was like becoming a dad. Yeah. And what those days look like. Now, my story and your story are a little different.
To say the least.
To say the least, yeah. There's some difference. So I'd like for you to share yours first, but just kind of like paint the picture of like, and obviously you could talk about your story a little bit more, but just kind of what those days leading into, even though you didn't have any idea, but you led into being a dad.
Yeah.
Like, kind of share that experience.
Yeah. So my wife and I got married in I should know this.
Oh, Eli.
2014, because next year is 10 years.
Oh,
yeah.
There you go.
So 2014. And when I got engaged with Jana, I already knew she had a lot of medical oddities and conditions and stuff. And so I knew that if we were going to have kids, it was going to be complicated at the very least. Early into our marriage, unfortunately, my wife had hysterectomy. And so the opportunity to have kids naturally was not a possibility. For me, I know for Jana it's really difficult, and she still goes through that season. Anyone that's gone through infertility knows that is a long lasting effective period in someone's person's life, and will carry on for the rest of their life. But for me, I knew I just loved this girl, and I knew we were going to have a family at some point, and how that was going to happen, I wasn't sure. So my wife had a huge heart for adoption. She had been to South Africa twice and just had a huge heart for adoption. Even before she knew of all her medical things, she had a huge heart for adoption. And so it was turning into, okay, what does it look like for us to adopt? Did the application process, the home study, and then it was just the waiting game. And so during that time, we had gotten calls for a couple of children that just didn't quite fit the situation that we were in, and so we actually went to Colorado Springs. My wife's a wedding photographer, and so we went and shot a wedding while we were there.
Yeah.
And earlier that week, we had actually been in contact with a couple that was there in California, and they were saying, we might go with you, and so we were just kind of waiting to hear the news. So wedding was a Friday. We went and shot it, and Saturday the plan was to go to a couple of different national parks while we were in Colorado.
Yeah,
and then come back. And we got a call that Saturday morning, letting us know that the couple had gone with somebody else. And so this was, I think, our first, if not our second time that we had been kind of not selected, which in itself it's a very difficult thing, because you kind of have your hopes up and you're not exactly sure what's going on. And so definitely changed the mood of the day, right? So, okay, we're done, We knew we were going to go to Colorado Springs the next day. And so she's like, drop me off at the hotel. You go get gas, and then we'll meet back up. So I drop her off and go get gas. And I was in the drive-thru of Sonic's, and I get a call from Jana, and she said, hey, we just got a call from our attorneys. There's a baby being born right now. We got to go. I said, what? We got to go. It's 9:00.
Yeah.
in Denver. And so, okay, all right. So I back out of the drive-thru and head over to go pick her up. A couple of friends of ours, we let them know, and they were able to align tickets, the last tickets to Southern California for the night.
Yeah.
And so we went rushed, dropped off the rental car, ran there as fast as we could, and by the time that we got on the plane, we had gotten notice that he had been born.
Wow.
And it was a he.
Right.
So at this point, as you probably know, when you're having a child, it's very easy to freak out. Yeah. And so both of us are freaking out, because this is literally happening within, we first got notice 3 hours before he was born.
Yeah. And
we're out of state, somewhere completely different, flying in with nothing but our bags, basically. Yeah. And so, my wife's like, what do we do? I was like, let's just take this a step at a time. Let's get to the airport. Let's drop off the rental car. Let's get on the plane. Let's get off the plane. Let's get to the hospital. And then we get to the hospital, and she's like, okay, now what? She's like, now we're parents. Yeah. There's no other step. Like, okay, this is it. Yeah. And so we essentially just kind of dropped into the situation. And looking back at it, I'm really glad it happened that way, because I didn't have any time to fear whether I was going to be a good dad or not, because I was going to be a dad, and that's it. Yeah. like here we are, in this case. And there was a lot of different complications. Again, we just have our bags. We have no car seat. We have no car. We had no diapers. You guys were in San Diego at the time. And so you guys came up and brought some stuff for us that we needed in order to get home. My in-laws drove all the way down, up from Santa Rosa and came all the way down to SoCal to come pick us up and drive us back, kind of thing. And so it was definitely a village type of deal. But my greatest unknown fear for that was, okay, what is it going to be like with adoption? Because this isn't a child of my flesh. There's no blood relation or anything like that. But as soon as I saw him, I was like completely blown away. I was like, okay, yeah, this is it. Yeah. And we didn't know. Again, I mean, those that gone through the adoption process know that there's a lot of paperwork that needs to get done. There's still opportunity for placement back with the birth parents or whatever the situation may be. But I just went and looked at him and I just said, yeah, this is it. Yeah. So the coolest part of the story is that he was born 10 p.m. on that Saturday. We got to see him around 3 in the morning on that Sunday. Mm-hmm. And that Sunday was Father's Day. Right. So I got to actually spend my first Father's Day with cool. my then son. So really, really cool situation. Totally a God thing. Like there's no way, just the way that this had planned out. And even now as we got going through the adoption process again, complete miracle with the way it worked out with James. And you met him. I mean, he's just a great kid, man. Oh yeah. Like he's just awesome. Yeah. Like the best that we could ever ask for. Just completely adorable, and just a total sweetheart, and just an incredible addition to our family. Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, I think, it's like you said, right? Like he's not of your flesh or of your blood, but when you saw him, you knew that he was yours. And I think, who he is now is a testament of you and Jana, you know? And so when you guys found out that he was here and you guys were on your way, there was still very much a chance that the birth parents would want to keep him and not give him up, right? So so in all reality, even though you guys were on your way, you didn't know if it was going to be for sure, because nothing was signed, or we didn't know for sure. I think until like 3 months after. Just this situation was complicated, and it was just trying to navigate. I don't want to share too much, just because I think that's a very personal story, kind of between them, and we're still praying for his birth parents and hoping that they could be a part of his life. But until then, I want to respect their privacy in it. But I mean. We didn't know. I mean, you guys were there for the signing. That happened. Gosh, I think like 6 or 7 months, maybe about 7 months after we had originally taken him home. Yeah. And even more complicated to that was that we were planning to go to Israel 3 months after. Yeah. And so we had to logistically figure out, well, how do we take this baby? We're not leaving this baby here, right? And so fortunately, we were able to kind of work it out and work it out with the courts and with the birth mother at the time, and we were able to come bring him, which was awesome. Like to have him 3 months old in Israel and to have that time was pretty incredible. But we didn't know. I mean, we had a strong feeling for sure. Yeah. We didn't know until the papers are signed, and so legally became James Wilder Contreras. Yeah. So.
Do you feel like there was a moment, like in that madness of a story, the just you guys having to drop everything in Colorado and get back here as soon as possible? Was there any time in between that moment that you got the call to you having him in your arms for the first time where you felt like that how do I say, like, where you felt like I'm a dad now, Like, was it not until you held him, or was it?
If you are a father if you're a father to be, or if you haven't done this, first Skin to Skin was a big, I think a big bonding moment for me, and where it all became real, where you're feeling this baby on you, and they're feeling you, and you're feeling the heartbeat and everything. I think that's probably like the moment of like, oh, okay, here we go. Like, my life has changed completely from now on. And so, I think that was kind of the moment.
So the moment you held them and skin to skin. And,
I mean, at this point, when we had gotten him, he already had been born. I mean, we found out he was born on the plane there. Yeah. Which, funny enough, a lot of the passengers, we were so excited. We were telling passengers, so they were invested in the story. Yeah. You know, like, and so we got to have our Hallmark movie, "It's a boy," you know, kind of thing. And people were like, yeah. So
that's pretty cool, man. I mean, you know, and it's funny because, like, obviously, again, you guys adopted, but I mean, your story isn't like completely different. I mean, obviously it's different, but when it comes to just the feelings and emotions that goes into the days leading up to that moment where you're holding your baby for the first time, it's very similar. Like, you know, Ruthie was induced, so we were at the hospital, and I think she was in labor for probably, babe, I'm sorry, I don't know the exact time, but it was definitely several hours. Yeah. Right?
I remember.
And I remember that the Giants were in the World Series, and you know, they were playing the Royals, and Game 7 was coming up, and I just said, like, okay, well, like, if you can just wait for the, like, I don't this is a big moment. Like, I don't, you know, we don't want to have to turn the TV off or anything in here, you know. So, and he was born after. He was born after they won the game. And actually, it wasn't Game 7. It was I think Game 5 or 6 that they played. And then he was born, and then, you know, they ended up winning. But but the moment, like, I was so nervous. Because it's like, as a dad, when you're there for several hours while your wife is in labor, like, literally she's just laying there, either medicated or she is, like, just very, very uncomfortable. And you're just there like, what do I do? And I'm kind of responsible why she's here. Like, it's my fault, you know? Like, I mean, I just was so nervous because I'm like, what am I supposed to do, right? And so, and it was, I remember having a camera with me, and I recorded quite a bit of some of those moments before Abel showed up to when he came. And I think I always say that I thought fatherhood was going to be so natural for me. Like, it was going to be something I just was really great at, you know? And in that same vein, like, I just felt like I kind of understood, right? Like, oh, I know what birthing is. I know what giving birth is. And I know that experience, like, because I know about that. I know what sex is, you know, like, but when you're there, it's like, no, you don't, you know, you really don't. Yeah. Because it isn't just like a physical thing. It's like partly spiritual and partly like this moment in life that you can't ever really replicate unless you're having another baby, right? So, but when Abel finally came, and I got to hold him for the first time, the same thing. It was just like oh, okay. You know, like, I get it now. I get that, my life really is never going to be the same again. Yeah. And at the same time, almost like a nervous excitement about it. You know, it wasn't like like my life is over, but it was like I have no idea what's coming. I have no idea what to expect. I have no idea what this means for me and what this is going to look like. But I'm excited about it because, like, I have this baby now that I'm in charge of, I'm responsible for. So I think, you know, that those hours, those moments of going from not having a kid to having a kid, it like does something to us as men where like this switch, this mode, like that's always been there, but it officially turns on, right? It's like this, like this, like when people are knighted with swords and stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you feel
you've entered royalty,
like a
here.
spiritual endowment of like, just like you're now a father, like, and it's just really cool. Like, oh my gosh, I'm a dad, and you start thinking about what does that mean? I just feel like it, that time, especially the first time when it happens, is really special, and then every time after that, of course, it's special as well. But it's really cool to kind of experience that and then look back and go, man, that was a roller coaster. That was a ride, And again, even though our stories are different, they're very much the same.
Yeah.
I'm sure you were nervously excited on the plane because you had no idea what to expect and no idea what he would look like and who, and so all those things, the same thing for me. Like, I didn't know if he was going to look like me or Ruthie or, no idea. Yeah. So I don't know. I just wanted to share those stories. I thought they were really cool, worthy of sharing. And then obviously for any dad who's expecting, whether it's your first or number 3 or 4 or whatever, to kind of cherish those moments. Like, I think that's really cool to be able to like look back. And I mean, I took a video camera with me for Abel. And I'm glad that I have that stuff, because I can always go back and watch. Now for Mateo and Dalia, it was just mainly just photos on my phone and stuff. But I have stuff, to look back and remember that crazy time, So yeah, I don't know. Anything else you want to share about that or?
No, yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's completely change in the world. Again, I mean, for our situation, we were very much like in need of everything all at once. I mean, we didn't have a car seat, nothing, you know. So it was just a huge reminder of just like even you guys taking us out to lunch, was like so huge, for us. And even though the kids didn't get to meet him right there that day, and I think also just for the family too. I mean, I remember you because you're the oldest. You had the first nephew of us, the original 4 siblings, right? Yeah. And just the excitement.
The original 4,
right? Yeah. You, me, and the other 2. But just the excitement for us too. Yeah. Like, cool. Like we're uncle and, we're Theo and Thea now, right? Yeah. And what that meant to us, and seeing mom and dad as grandparents, and getting able to hold them and that kind of thing. It just brings so much excitement. So if you are expecting, expect a exciting time.
Yeah, and congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. And I want to hear from you. Share in the comments. Let me know. Share your experience in becoming a dad. What were you feeling? What were you going through? What were you thinking? I want to hear from you. I'd love to read your story. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, subscribe to the podcast, and share it with another dad so that we can all become better dads. We can all become proud papis. Until next time, peace out.